If you don't have any objective here or a predetermined objective is not there, it will not be considered as a meeting at all. What is the statutory meeting is all about? Now, statutory meeting is the first meeting of the shareholder conducted after the commencement of the business of a public company. What is delegation? Transfer of authority and responsibility is called delegation. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students here. Now we are in the next chapter. In this chapter, we're gonna teach you about something called meeting. Now what exactly meeting is? Now meeting is a word which is derived from the Latin word. Now meeting, what exactly it is? It is all about coming or face to face you are with people. So there should be at least two people, and then that is how the meeting starts. Now the word meeting means an act of coming face to face. It's an act of coming face to face. Now here what happens is when you go with a face to face or coming in company or coming together, that is what meeting is. A meeting therefore can be defined as a lawful association or assembly of two or more persons by previous notice of transaction or transacting some business. Now that is what meeting is all about. So meeting, in the sense, there will be two people who will come, who will actually talk to each other. They'll get to know what exactly it is. And here the business meeting is different, formal meeting is different, informal meeting is different. So the meeting must be validly summoned and convened. Such gathering of the members of companies are known as a company meeting. So there are a lot of difference between a company meeting, a gathering, a occasional meeting, functional meeting, also and so. Next, we need to understand about the essentials of companies meeting. Now, what are the essentials of companies meeting? The first one here we need to know is two or more person. Now, two or more person in the sense to constitute a valid meeting, there must be two or more persons. However, the articles of association, that is AOA, Article of Association, may provide for a larger number of persons to constitute a valid quorum. Lawful assembly. The greater, that is the more the people actually gather, must be for conducting a lawful business. Unlawful assembly shall not be a meeting in the eyes of law. We are supposed to understand the Companies Act 2013, where they say that the business should always go with the lawful. Now, any kind of unlawful business is there, and you cannot call that assembling of people called as meeting. So here, what is the first one is all about two or more persons should be there. Secondly, we are supposed to know it should be what? A lawful assembly. Third one we have is previous notice, that is a meeting should always have a notice, and then only you are supposed to go with a meeting. And the fourth one here we have is to transact a business. Previous notice is a condition precedent for a valid meeting. A meeting which is purely accidental and not summoned after a due notice is not at all a valid meeting. That means when you do it accidentally, what happens is it will not be considered as a meeting in the eyes of law. So here law is enforced and law should be abided by each and every person. To transact a business, when we go with this to transact a business, please understand here this eyes of law is there. No, it is very, very important. You are supposed to mention that in each and every point. Now, when we go with the transact the business, the purpose of meeting is to transact a business. If the meeting has no definite objective or summoned without any predetermined objective. See, if you don't have any objective here or a predetermined objective is not there, it will not be considered as a meeting at all. Now we'll go with the next one, that is called kinds of company meeting. Now I have given you four types of companies meeting. The first one is meeting of the shareholder. Meeting of the shareholder, meeting of the board of directors and their committee. So here board of directors also will have the meeting. Then meeting of the debenture holder. Now people who will actually give the loan to the company, they are called the debenture holders. Even they are supposed to go with the meeting. And lastly we have is meeting of the creditors. Now people who are the stakeholders also will have a meeting with the people, that is the board of directors, shareholders and all other people. So the first one is meeting of the shareholders. When we go with meeting of the shareholders, we have these things, that is statutory meeting should happen, annual general meeting should happen, extraordinary general meeting, that is called EGM, extraordinary general meeting, that is should also happen, and class meeting should go with. So we have these type of meetings which happens with the shareholders. One is statutory, second one is we have annual general, third is extraordinary, and the fourth one is the class meeting. First one is statutory meeting. What is the statutory meeting is all about? Now statutory meeting is the first meeting of the shareholder conducted after the commencement of the business of a public company. Now understand the public company. When we form the public company, and I have told you about the formation, the procedure and all. Now in the meeting what happens here is, soon after the commencement of a business is started, that is you will get a ROC copy from the registrar saying that you can actually go with the commencement. After the commencement you are supposed to go with the first statutory meeting with the shareholder, and that is to the public company. Now Companies Act provides that every public company limited by shares or limited by guarantee and having a share capital should hold a meeting of the shareholders within 6 months of the commencement. So the minute the commencement starts, within the 6 months you are supposed to have the meeting. So this is what the first clause is. Now usually the statutory meeting is the first general meeting of the company. It is conducted only once in a lifetime. It is conducted only once in a lifetime of the company. That means statutory should be done within 6 months. Now a private company, now understand this, a private company or a company without any share capital, right? They don't need to do the statutory meeting. It is not compulsory for them. Again, it is the Companies Act 2013 which says. Now annual general meeting. Now when we go with annual general meeting, that is the annual general meeting is one of the important meeting of a company. It is usually held once in a year. That's why it is called annual. AGM, that is annual general meeting, should be conducted by both private and public limited companies, whether limited by shares or by guarantee, having or not having the share capital. That means here it's a compulsory for the private as well as public company to go for a meeting. Reason here, though it can be limited by shares, limited by guarantee, or even a company which has the share capital or doesn't have a share capital, you are supposed to go, because you should tell your stakeholders that what the company is doing. Now as the name suggests, the meeting is to be held annually to the transact the ordinary business of the company. So here whatever happens you are supposed to share with the stakeholders. Next is extraordinary general meeting. Very important topic this is. Please do understand each and every point here. Now extraordinary general meetings are generally called for transacting some urgent or special business which cannot be postponed till the next annual general meeting. Now I told you about the special resolutions and all. That is the time you are supposed to go with extraordinary general meeting. Every business transacted at this meeting is called special business. Person authorized to convene the meeting. The following persons are authorized. Now who are the people who are organized and they are authorized? The first one is the board of directors, the requisitionist, the National Company Law Tribunal. Any director or any two members, they can actually go for these kind of meetings. And the next one we have is class meeting. Now what exactly this class meeting is? Now particular class will be there and those people will actually go with it. Say example, you have preference shareholders, debenture holders, they will have their own separate kind of a meeting, that is called class meeting. So here class meeting are those meetings which are held by the shareholders of a particular class shares. Say example, you have preference shareholder and the debenture holders. Now class meetings are generally conducted when it is proposed to alter, vary or affect the rights of a particular class of the shareholders. So this is what the class meeting is all about. Now the next one is meeting of the directors. Now what is this meeting of the directors? Understand this carefully. Meetings of directors are called board meeting. Now the board meeting here, please understand, it's a very important meeting because all the company affairs, whenever there is any opportunity, any fraudulent act or any malpractice or any kind of a behavior which is irregular is actually seen in the company, then frequently they have this board meetings. Now these are the most important as well as most frequently held meeting of the company. It is the only at this meeting that all important matters relating to the company and its policies are discussed and decided upon. See, any policies or any alteration is there, any procedure is there, any formation is there, any kind of a thing which you are supposed to go for a change, then you are supposed to have a board meeting, that is also called as the directors meeting. The debenture holders of a particular class conduct these meetings. They are generally conducted when the company wants to vary the terms of securities or modify their rights. Rules and regulations regarding the holding of the meeting of the debenture holders are either entered in the trust deed or endorsed on the debenture bond so that they are binding upon the holders of debentures and upon the company. So both the ways they'll have a kind of a thing. Everything is mentioned prior itself and then they are supposed to follow it. Even the Companies Act 2013 will give them the exposure for any kind of a class meeting, that is a debenture holders meeting. Next we have is the meeting of the creditors. Now what exactly the meeting of the creditors happens here is, strictly speaking, these are not meetings of a company. That is, first one is the creditors will never go with any kind of a meeting. They are held when the company proposes to make a scheme of arrangements with its creditors. Now companies like individuals may sometimes find it necessary to compromise or make some arrangements with their creditors. In this circumstances, a meeting of the creditors is necessary. So that is the only time when they'll go for any of the adjustments or arrangements are there, only then they'll meet the creditors. Accountability. Now what is this accountability in the sense? Now the act of being accountable to the stakeholder of an organization, which may include, now that means what, each and everybody are supposed to be accountable. That means the company is to be accountable to the stakeholder, to the shareholder, to the employees, to the suppliers, to the customers, the local community, and even the particular country that the firm operates in. That means the entire company should be accountable to all these people. Now, in most jurisdictions, a body of corporate law has been developed in order to. Now, why? Because now you need to actually know the law of land also. You should know that you are accountable to each and every person. So here in most jurisdiction, a body of corporate law has been developed in order to formalize these requirements. So a company will be accountable to all these people. Now, there are three pillars of delegation. Now, before that, let me tell you what is delegation. Transfer of authority and responsibility is called delegation. Now, we have three of the pillars. The first one here is responsibility. Now, what is the responsibility means is, responsibility indicates the duty assigned to a person in an organization. It refers to the obligation, again, obligation of a subordinate to perform the duty as required by his superior. And responsibility is a continuing obligation. And let me tell you here, if I need to tell you more, responsibility cannot be transferred from one person to another person. Next one we have is authority. Now what is this authority? Authority means the power to actually control, the power to actually execute. Now, no organization can survive without authority. The Defense Force are an excellent example of how authority can be given and not questioned by subordinates. Authority is the right. Authority is the right or power assigned to executive in order to achieve an organization objective, and this authority allows for decision making, enables the person in charge and give orders and instructions and expect them to be obedient. Now here what happens is they need to obey each and everything. That is what the authority is all about. And lastly we have is accountability. Again, accountability means reporting each and everything. So in an organization, a person given a task is held accountable. So whoever is taking the task, they are accountable. Now how and why they are supposed to do it is all because delegation is what? Transfer of authority and responsibility. And once the authority and responsibility is given, you are also accountable to your superior, that you are supposed to report each and everything to your superior. Now what happens is that person will have obliged to complete the job assigned to him or her as per the expectation. Now that means what happens is that the person is responsible, that is the person is responsible for the actions of the people or group under his or her supervision, even if there are several layers down the hierarchy. So the person who is accountable has an obligation. Now they have an obligation. Now what is that obligation? Here you need to understand is to report formally about the work done to his superiors, explain any factors responsible for non-performing, and take full responsibility for the action taken. So here what happens is when we go with the delegation, transfer of authority and responsibility, you have three elements or three pillars. That is, one is responsibility, another is authority, and the last one is accountability. When you go with accountability, what happens is you have an obligation to report it to your superior. Now if you have done the job, again you are supposed to report. If you have not done the job, again you are supposed to report. That is, if there is non-performance, still you are supposed to go for it. Accountability cannot be transferred. Authority can be transferred. Responsibility cannot be transferred. So these are the things which you are supposed to know. Hope you have understood it. If not, please do ask us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.